My palms were still sweating when I stepped off the bus, clutching the thin envelope tighter than anything I'd ever held. It was my very first paycheck. 2 weeks of grueling late-night shifts at the campus coffee kiosk, 12-hour double shifts, and pretending my back wasn't screaming. The moment I got it, I didn't run to a mall. I didn't buy food or shoes. I didn't even think about myself. I thought about them. My parents, the ones who always told me I took and never gave. The ones who said, when you finally earn something, maybe you'll stop being a burden. So I'd imagined this moment, over and over in my head, walking into the house, proud, holding it out like a peace offering, like a declaration that maybe, just maybe, I was finally worth something. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. When I stepped inside, the air was heavy with the smell of grilled steak. My stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since last night. But I pushed it down. "Hey, Dad," I called out, voice soft. He was lounging in the recliner, glass of whiskey half full. My mom was folding my sister Marla's laundry. Expensive, glittery brand name stuff I could never afford. He didn't even glance up. I swallowed. "I got something to show you." Finally, he looked. One eyebrow lifted. My mom sighed. "What now, Layla? We're busy." I held it up like a kid showing a drawing. "My first paycheck. I wanted to give it to you. You always said I take too much, so—" I smiled. He didn't. He got up, took the envelope, didn't even open it. "Dirt money," he muttered. I blinked. "What?" He tore it in half. Just like that. Ripped it down the middle like it was a grocery receipt. "Money from you is dirt," he said, dropping the pieces at my feet. "Give it to someone who matters next time." "Not us." My mom chuckled. "You thought that little pittance would mean something?" "Sweetheart, Marla made that in one sponsored post on Insta. Why don't you try being born with talent next time?" I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. They turned back to the TV like I didn't exist. My sister walked in from the kitchen, sipping a smoothie. "What's going on?" she asked, laughing when she saw the ripped check. "Aw, little Layla thinks she's a provider now. Cute." I left. I didn't cry. Not right then. I sat on the steps outside and stared at the pieces fluttering in the breeze. That money had meant something, not the amount, but the effort, the hours, the fact that I thought, just for once, they might be proud, but all I got was humiliation. Again. That night, I slept in the campus library, not because I didn't have a bed, but because I couldn't stand hearing their laughter through the walls. The next morning, I started doing more shifts. I stopped coming home for meals. I stopped texting back. And still, no one asked. 1 week. Later, I came back to grab a coat. The kitchen was full of boxes, gifts, big ones, pink ribbons. My sister had gotten engaged. There was champagne in the fridge. I stood at the door while they toasted. My dad didn't even look up. My mom said, "You still here?" And Marla added, "Make yourself useful. Clean the bathroom. Guests are coming." I stared at the sink, stacked high with dishes I hadn't used. I turned and walked out again. I didn't speak to them for another 2 months, until something happened that made me come back, but not the way they expected. Not to ask, not to beg, to change everything. 2 months passed and they didn't even notice I was gone. No missed calls, no messages, no, "Where are you?" Nothing. While Marla posted daily wedding prep photos, posing with champagne and silk robes, I was dragging espresso machines across tile floors and pulling double shifts at 3 separate jobs. I'd moved in with a friend from work, Julia. She had a cramped studio and an old couch, but she had something my parents never gave me, basic human decency. Julia made pasta at night and told me I didn't have to earn kindness. She said, "You're not crazy. They're cruel." The words hit me harder than I thought they would, because all my life I'd been gaslit into thinking their abuse was my fault, that I wasn't enough, that maybe if I got perfect grades, stayed silent, didn't talk back, they'd soften. But they didn't. They hardened. The only time my phone lit up with their name was when they needed something. So when my mom finally did call, I stared at the screen for 2 minutes before answering. "We need to talk," she said. No, "Hi," no, "How are you?" Just, Are you free this weekend? I said nothing. She continued, Marla's wedding rehearsal dinner is Saturday. You'll come early and help set up. Wear black. Something clean, at least. I nearly laughed. No, I did laugh. She paused. What's funny? I wasn't invited, I said calmly. You never sent me anything, not even a text. She scoffed. Oh, don't be dramatic. It's family. You just show up. That word again. Family. The word they clung to only when they wanted something. Never when I was crying in my room. Never when I needed a ride home from night shifts. Never when I had to stitch my own heart back together after their emotional blows. But I said nothing. Just, sure, I'll be there. Because this time, I had a plan. And not the kind of plan that ends with yelling or tears. No, I wasn't going to scream or confront or even explain. That would give them power. This time, I wanted to take something they valued, but not money, not property, control. Saturday came. I arrived early as requested, not in black, but in a sleek navy suit I borrowed from Julia, hair tied back, minimal makeup. Not for them. For me. The venue was a high-end garden restaurant. White linens, gold chairs, floral, centerpieces the size of toddlers. Marla's name was on every chalkboard sign. Bride-to-be, queen of the day, daddy's favorite girl. I scanned the place cards. There was one for my parents, one for Marla's fiancé, one for each cousin, friend, distant relative. But not for me. Nothing. I stood by the dessert table, feeling the familiar burn in my throat. Then I heard her voice. Marla. Layla, she said, walking over, fake smile in place. Did you bring the guest books? I asked Mom to tell you to grab them. I looked at her. You didn't give me a seat. She blinked. Well, we assumed you'd be helping in the kitchen. I nodded. Right. Don't be weird about it, she added, eyes sharp. You're here, aren't you? Isn't that enough? Then she walked away. Like nothing. Like I was nothing. Again. The guests poured in, laughing and clinking glasses, complimenting the venue, the flowers, the radiant bride. My parents didn't acknowledge me. My dad passed by with a glass of wine and muttered, Don't loiter. Loiter. That's what he called me. That's what I was to him, even now. But what they didn't know was that I'd spent the last 2 months working for one of the city's top event firms, and the manager, impressed by my work ethic, had given me a free favor. One job, she said. If you ever want to shake things up, I'll back you. So I had emailed her last week and told her exactly what I wanted. At 7:32 p.m., just as the lights dimmed and they raised a toast, the slideshow began. Not the one Marla submitted, the real one. It opened with a childhood photo of Marla in a tiara, then transitioned to my ripped paycheck on the floor. A silent video of me wiping down tables at 3 a.m. in a fast food uniform. Screenshots of their texts mocking me. She's so slow, she'll never amount to anything. A voice recording I'd saved, my mom, saying, She's not even real family. We had to keep her for appearances. Gasps rippled through the garden like a sudden storm. Someone dropped a glass. Marla screamed, What is this? My dad stood up, face red. The projector cut out. Silence. I stepped forward, calmly, and said, Just wanted to give you something that mattered. Then I walked away. No yelling, no breakdown. I walked straight out the garden gate into the cool night air. It was the first time I ever felt tall around them. I didn't look back, not once. I could still hear my name echoing through the garden, Mom shouting, Marla sobbing, Dad demanding someone, turn that thing off. But the truth doesn't turn off. Not once it's been seen. I walked until the music faded behind me, and all I could hear was the steady crunch of gravel under my heels. For the first time in my life, my heart wasn't racing from fear. It was steady, like it finally understood its own rhythm. When I got home that night, Julia was waiting, on the couch with 2 mugs of hot chocolate. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't need to. She just said, You finally let them choke on their own words, didn't you? I laughed softly, sinking into the couch. Yeah, something like that. For days, I didn't check my phone. When I finally did, there were 43 missed calls, 13 voicemails, and a dozen messages from distant relatives with words like, "How could you embarrass your family like that?" But then, buried among them, there were others. From people I barely knew, waiters, cousins, even Marla's fiancé's sister, who'd written, "I saw what they did to you. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that." For a moment, I sat there and cried. Not out of sadness, out of relief. Because for once, the truth didn't make me the villain. A week later, I went back to work. My boss, Claire, called me into her office. She looked at me over her glasses and said, "You've got grit, Layla, and I like people who've been through fire." She offered me a full-time position and a promotion. Not pity, respect. By the end of the month, I'd signed a lease for a small one-bedroom apartment. My name alone on the door. The first night I moved in, I didn't decorate. I didn't play music. I just sat on the floor with takeout noodles, staring at the walls, realizing this was mine, every inch of it, earned, untouched by their cruelty. But peace never comes without ghosts, and mine showed up 3 weeks later, at my door. I opened it to find my father. He looked smaller somehow, older, the kind of tired that comes from losing control, not time. Behind him stood my mother, her perfect hair messy for once, her lips trembling. He spoke first. "We lost everything." I didn't say a word. He continued. "Marla's fiancé's family pulled out of the wedding. The restaurant wants to sue. Your mother's job—" Mom cut in sharply. "Was fine until you ruined everything." I crossed my arms. "No, I just stopped protecting you from the truth." Mom's eyes glistened, but not with remorse, with rage. "We raised you. We gave you—" I cut her off. "No, you used me. Every bit of kindness I had, you called weakness. Every bit of silence, you called guilt. Every time I tried to love you, you turned it into dirt." Dad's face tightened. "You think this makes you better than us?" I shook my head. "No, it makes me free." He stepped forward. "We're your family." I stepped back. "Then you should have acted like it." The silence between us was heavy, decades thick. Then Mom said, almost whispering, "You always wanted us to see your worth, didn't you? Well, congratulations. You finally made us look." I closed the door, softly, no slam, no shout, just enough to let the sound of it echo. And that sound, quiet, final, was worth more than any apology they could have forced through their teeth. Days turned into months. I never saw them again. Word spread that they sold the house and left town. But sometimes I'd pass by the empty lot on my way to work, weeds sprouting through the cracks, a single mailbox still standing, the name Turner barely visible through the rust. That was their legacy, rot disguised as tradition. Mine was different. I built mine from hours, bruises, sleepless nights, and one torn paycheck that used to mean humiliation, until it became motivation. One afternoon, I walked into a bank and opened a new account. The clerk asked what I wanted to name it. I smiled and said, "The Dirt Fund." Every time I got paid, I put a little into it, not for them, not to prove anything, but as a reminder that sometimes dirt isn't what you're given, it's what you grow from, and that was the last thing they ever taught me, not through love, but through their absence. I brought my first paycheck home and they ripped it apart, but in doing so, they gave me something they never meant to, the reason to never need them again. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.